Hello, it's Dwaylen Dasher again with High Ground Financial Freedom, and I'm bringing today a phenomenal senior non-commissioned officer retiree, Rosalind Willis. And I want her to share her story about being in the Army and then transitioning out and then starting her own business and doing great with that. And also talk a little bit about family banking, what she's done with it, and which direction she wants to go. So, Rosalind, for the listeners and the viewers who do not know you yet, tell us about yourself.
Okay. So, I am born and raised in Michigan. I did a little over 20 years in the Army, retired in 2018, and have two kids. And right now, I own my own e-commerce business on Amazon and Walmart.
Okay, Amazon, Walmart. All right. So let's talk about your transition. How was that for you coming out of the military?
Okay, so I'm going to be honest. Some people eat, breathe, and sleep military. That is not me. So I don't think I had as hard of a transition when it was time for me to retire. There was a little bit of uncertainty because in the military you kind of a sense of security. You're gonna get paid on March 15th. You you know when you get sick you can go to the doctor and dental and you got all these things that's helping you out and stuff. And when you retire, you lose a little bit of that. And for me, it was a small transition. It didn't take me long to really adjust to civilian life.
Okay, so you say you're not one of those eat, sleep, and breathe retirees. Okay, and what did you have any struggles while you were in the military?
Oh,
Let's talk about some of those then. Let's talk about one of your a major struggle. You don't have to say what it was unless you want to share. Let's talk about that.
so some of the major struggles that I found being a female, um, believe it or not, I found myself in all male unit several times. And that in and of itself is a struggle when you're the only female. And you have to get them to understand that even though I am, a female, I'm still a soldier. I'm the same rank as you, or I outrank you. And, simply if I outrank you, then if I tell you to do something, that's what I'm going to happen, you know. Um, but once I let them know what type of person I am, what they can expect from me, what I expect from them, then things really ran a lot smoother. But in the beginning, it can be a challenge being the only female in an all male unit,
Mhm.
frankly, in a supporting role because I was assigned. So if everybody in the unit was uh, 11 Bravo, you know, they tend to think that they know everything, and I told them many times, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. Don't tell me how to do my job. Like, I'm here to support you. I'm going to do everything I can to support you. And I just ask that you respect me.
Mhm.
And so then it worked out well.
So how did you navigate those tough times? And you said multiple units where you were the only female. How did you navigate through all of that?
Again, I'm a very straightforward person. I don't like to beat around the bush a lot. Um, Early on in my career, I would say that I was probably a little bit of a shrinking violet. But as you grow in your military career, your skin gets really thick. And so you know, I would have to say sometimes I'd have to give people the business, you know. But um at the end of the day, it all comes down to respect. And you gotta respect the rank, respect the position and everything. And so again, when I just laid out to them, hey, I'm here for you, but you're not going to run over me. You're not going to get me to do something that I don't want to do ethically. And if you can agree with that, we'll get along just fine.
Okay. So it was more of that support role when you leaned into them and said, "Hey, listen, I'm your supplier. My job is to support you." Did you get more done with that? Were they more receptive to that than you just giving them the business?
Well, I'm gonna be honest, the business worked wonder also.
Oh,
But when you let people know that, hey, I am here for you. I'm gonna do whatever I can. I will bend over backwards for you. If you need something, if you let me know in advance, I will do everything I can to get it. Even if you don't let me know in advance and you let me know last minute, I might have to get on you a little bit, but I'm gonna still do everything in my power to get that thing that you need, you know. And I feel like, when you show people that you are really there for them, they kind of soften up a bit and they're like, oh, okay. Like she gave me the business, but at the end of the day, she came through for me. She did what I needed to be done, and they appreciate it.
all right, good deal, good deal. So let's transition over and let's talk about infinite banking, family banking. So I know you have your own e-commerce business and you utilize family banking. Let's talk about that. What do you think about it? Because you're a straight shooter. So give me what you think about this whole family banking, infinite banking thing straight up.
So I will say that a lot of African American kids did not grow up and still don't grow up doing anything about how money works, investing, really saving, anything like that. My parents didn't teach me that, but they can only teach me what they need, and they didn't know that. And so the best thing my dad always said is, "Love, make sure you have your own. Always make sure you have your own, no matter what." And I was like, okay, so like I really took that to heart. But then I started trying to do my own research. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read Capital Quadrant, trying to understand finance movement, investing, and stuff like that. But I will say, as many years that I have been putting money away in stocks, mutual funds, and stuff, I just would not see the growth. I'm like, yeah, I'm spending my money every month, but my account isn't growing like I thought it should be growing. So then when I got introduced to ethnic banking concept, I was like, oh, this sounds wonderful. So I read a book called Lunch of Giants by this guy named Art Board. It's a real thick book, and it's one of those books like you really have to be paying attention. And then I read Becoming Your Own Banker by Mr. Nash. And that book right there really laid out for me how internet banking is supposed to work. And I'm like, I can be my own banker. I can create a legacy for my family. And this is what, this is what rich people do. They do this type of stuff. But I didn't know anything about it. I had never heard of it. But now I have a policy. I have a policy on my daughter. I have a policy on my fund. I fully fund it every year and do the paid up editions and everything. And I'm getting ready to get me a vehicle. And guess what? I'll have to go and try to make sure that my credit score is top notch and I get the best interest rate and all of that. I'm going to use my own money to fund getting me a new vehicle, and then I'm just going to make payments to myself. And that is what becoming your own banker is all about.
Then what about being skeptical? Because I will say this, when I did share it with you, there was zero skepticism there. I didn't see anything in your face. You were very receptive. But for me, when I learned about it, I was like, no, this is fake. It's false. This is not real. Why did you not show any, be skeptical at all? Why?
I think it takes a certain amount of mindset. It depends on where you are in your financial journey, in your situation in life, what's going on around you. At the time when you talked to me about it, like I was wide open to receive the information.
Okay.
I was in receive mode. I want to understand how money works and how my money works and how I can better lead something for my family. So when you talked to me about it, it was like that. Like, oh, that made perfect sense. And then when I started doing some research and started, reading the books and everything, it just really all came together. Like it really clicked. For somebody who's out there and thinking, well, this doesn't work, you have to do your own research. Maybe, you should just say my word for it, or you should just say Swalen's word for it. Do your own research, and then see, okay, this thing makes sense, because we give our money over to people who are going to manage it for us. We'll do that all day long. We'll invest with somebody who said that I'm going to make sure you get 10% return, or this fund did 20% return, and you're thinking, oh, well, let me give my money to this person. Really? Because a lot of those people, they have the same education that you have. So, they have a title that they probably gave themselves. And we're just, the innocent consumers just buying off into it. Like, oh, these people are going to save me. So when I retire, I'm going to have to speak net aid because they said they're going to get me this much percentage on my money. Maybe not.
Maybe not. So how has it been with teaching this information? Because I know you took it in, you absorbed it, you got yourself trained up, and now you teach it. Let's talk about with family. Has your family been receptive to this knowledge and learning?
Say it again, because you're
Has your family been receptive to this learning, this knowledge, this newfound knowledge of family banking, infinite banking? How has that journey gone with your family or sharing it with friends?
Well, again, I'm one of those people, and I don't hold any punches. So when I share it with my immediate family, they're like my nephew, I'll share it with them. And they, oh, Auntie, that sounds great, But none of them have gotten back to me. And that's okay. I will share the knowledge with you. If you want to do anything with it, great. If you don't want to do anything with it, still great. You may not be ready for it right now. But why share it with casual people, that I casually know? They are so much more receptive. And I think, one, because we dive into finances and stuff, I think it's a little, family members are a little hesitant about showing you their financial portfolio or lack of financial portfolio, like as if you're going to judge them somehow.
Okay.
I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to show you, and hopefully you can create something for your family. So I find that it's easier to, like I said, talk to casual acquaintances, or just somebody that is referred to you. It's easier to talk to them.
Okay. So you're under the mindset of you're doing very well with something you're eating and you want everybody else to eat as well, especially if it's your family. I understand that. And so let's talk about breaking barriers. You had mentioned, Black women, African American, women of color, being in the military or just starting your own business. Has that helped you or hindered you, starting your own business?
Well, I will say, um, doing e-commerce on the Walmart platform or the Amazon platform, there is no color barrier.
Mhm.
You just jump right in. You know, uh, but there is a lack of color, I find, in the industry space, because when I look for other Walmart sellers to connect with or Amazon sellers to connect with, they don't often look like me. I just went to a conference in Miami, and uh, there was a handful of people of color, and I think maybe 3 women of color. So it's not a lot of us, but that doesn't mean that you can't succeed, because this business is just based on how hard you work at
Mhm.
it.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. So what would you tell a young lady in the military or a woman starting their own business, whether they're women of color or not? What would you tell them that are struggling?
But somebody in the military, a female in the military, I would say find you a good mentor, right? Definitely. Because a lot of times we try to do life alone. Uh, we think we can handle everything
Mhm.
alone. And I'm not saying that you can't handle a lot alone, but it's easier when you have a community. So I just up a mentor. When I got out the military, I'm so used to, me knowing the answer. And if I don't know, I know which AR to go to, or, something like that. But once I retired and I started doing Amazon and Walmart, it's like I don't know where to go, you know, outside of some YouTube videos
Mhm.
or, something like that. So I would definitely say find your mentor, build a community, small community though. Like not a
So
huge.
why small community? Elaborate on that a little bit.
I think with the smaller community, you get better camaraderie.
Okay, I can understand that.
And you have some people that will really help call you out or
Mhm.
keep you accountable when you have a smaller group.
But what if you don't want to hear that?
Well, again, when I talk about being in the right headspace to hear what you had to say to me, you have to listen to other people because you don't know everything. You know, I had no idea about the infinite banking concepts until you brought it to my attention. I thought I was doing great by letting my financial person handle my assets for me. I was like, I have a financial advisor. Okay. So then, well, I opened, I was thinking, I have a financial advisor.
So it's a different way to look at it, huh?
Different way of looking at it.
Those assets under management are something else.
Yeah. So it's the same thing in the military. Uh, it is definitely a grind.
Mhm.
From the time you enlist to the time you retire, it is a daily grind. But it doesn't mean that you don't need a community. It doesn't mean that you don't need a hand up sometime, a handout, you know. And it doesn't mean that you can't say, I don't know. You just don't know everything. And it's
Right.
okay to say, I don't know.
Okay. All good points. And You've mentioned your business a couple of times. How would the viewers and listeners find you if they wanted to go to your store? You have like an ad or store name?
So I am on Instagram, the Seller Soldier. I'm also on TikTok, the Seller Soldier.
I like that. The Seller Soldier.
Just now starting to document my journey. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a little scary. Um, and I have to ask a lot of questions. I have a mentor and I text her constantly, because I don't know this and I don't know that, but I'm not afraid to ask. So that's one of the things. You have to be humble. You have to humble yourself and say, I don't know. And just reach out and ask somebody.
I think that's important to let go of any biases that you have if you want to be successful. And you have to ask questions. That's why you were successful in the military. And that's why you are a success now with your own business, is because you ask questions. You will humble yourself because we don't know everything. And once you lock in on that, then the world will open up and share all kinds of knowledge.
Yes.
So before we get off, what do you want to leave the listeners and the viewers with about Rosalind Willis, about anything, about how face a challenge? What do you want them to take away from this conversation?
I would hope that the listeners take away that even though you may not have grown up with this knowledge and you might have learned it at a later age in life, it doesn't mean that you still can't capitalize on it. Like it's all about being able to recognize something, pivot, and go the other direction. Yeah, for years I've been going to the investment direction and stuff. I pivoted. I will never go back to investing in stocks and tying my money to the market and hoping and praying and everything. And just one more tidbit. I watched I think you sent me the retirement gamble.
Okay.
And I have watched that segment. It's on YouTube. I have watched it probably 6, 7 times. And every time I watch it, I've learned something new. But it's so fascinating to see how people they're just hoping and praying. And every time the market goes down and they see their portfolio go down, then they say, well, I'm going to have to work that much longer. And that is scary and sad.
Mm-hmm.
So I would hope that the people watching realize there is a better way that is not going to tie your money up where it's going to be going down with the market and everything. It's not a get rich quick thing. It is a long-term thing. But in the end, you will be so much further ahead than you would have been putting your money in stocks and bonds and letting somebody else manage it.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that wisdom. Appreciate you sharing and your honesty, because as you know, it does work. And so, like Rosalind Willis said, ask questions. Don't just take people's word for it. Do your own research. Look into it and learn. Or you can just stick on this side, because at the end of the day, like I said, listen, if you want to be a financial freedom fighter, you can go that route. If you want to take those lumps, then those lumps are there for you. I've learned my lesson. I don't want no more lumps. Okay. So if you want to learn more, reach out, highgroundfinancialfreedom.com. This is Dwaylen Dasher. This is Rosalind Willis. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you for your honesty. I appreciate you, Rosalind, and looking forward to working with you some more.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Take care.